Board on this computer. Fabulous. All right. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you. For folks who I haven't really met, hi. So I can't wait to officially more meet you in person. And we're all so glad everyone's here today. Um, so my name's Hazel, and I'm one of the folks. Like, what are we calling ourselves now? Volunteers who were silly and raised our hands to help organize. No, something like steering committee, maybe. I don't know. And so we wanted to put on these things because this was information that, as we went through and did the tours for MECollab, people are like, that person's really clever, and they have some good stuff to share, and I want to learn more. And so we said, I do too. Yes, yes. Let's copy good ideas. I would love to learn more too. And so I volunteered to reach out to Lisa Joyce because I will take any opportunity to reach out to Lisa. Those of you who were here for the first few minutes, I was teasing that she is one of those humans who has yet to say no to me, which to remember, I ask some really weird things sometimes, like really odd. And so that always is a real mark of fun when they don't say no. So this is one of the less odd requests. Um, but Lisa has kindly offered to share some of her wisdom and some of the really neat partnerships she's doing so that we can all like copy, riff off of it, do it in our own way, and then share back with each other. Because again, that's what this is all about, right? Making the world a better place, where better is a highly subjective term, and hopefully we can help each other all out doing that. So with that, I think what we'll do is, Lisa, do you want to just go through your slides and then take questions at the end?
Sure.
Okay, I think that might work just because sometimes the questions I have for you, you end up answering, and I took a look at your slides and they were pretty extensive. So,
Well,
uh, folks, I'm going to unpin myself and we're going to listen to Lisa go. And Lisa, just tell me when to click and I will click for you.
okay. And I do have to admit, I have never met a good PowerPoint that I don't love. But so this is how to get hold of me. Please get hold of me. I may not answer immediately because I do work a 4-day week. Yes. But I tend to look at my emails over the weekend. So if you have some crisis that you need help with, I am happy to help. And if we can go to the next slide. So partnering, I love to partner. I just love it. And I think that that is my, superpower. And I do it kind of weirdly. And I definitely do it out of the box. So the first steps that I think you need to do is determine what you want or need from partners. When people think partners, they think either A, people, resources, volunteers, or B, money. And that is not always, that's kind of a short-sighted view of partnering in my mind. So I'm just going to go through these steps. So publicity. I will admit I am not really good at publicity. There are a couple of groups in my town who have Facebook, Instagram accounts, all of that stuff that have thousands of followers. And so if I can get them to partner with something, they repeatedly post my stuff on their Facebook page or Instagram page. And it really helps get the word out because that is something I am not good at. Sometimes you want money. There are people in your community who just want to give money, and they don't want anything else. They don't want any recognition. They give money, and they give money easily. But you need to know how much you want. Like Rotary, if you have a Rotary in your town, most of them have quick action grants, which are under $1,000. Have 3 questions on the application, and you get an answer within usually 48 hours, sometimes a week. The trick with them is it's always great if you ask for money and let them know that you will have a volunteer experience for them. So that's another thing. Other ones are they want to give big money. Just when asking for money, make sure you're asking the right people. I read a lot of grants and review a lot of grants for different organizations. It's very frustrating when it's obvious that the person who filled out the grant request did not read the specifications for what this organization funds. Happened a lot, happened to all of us. It's happened to me in the past, the long ago past, I hope. Um, but that's, you got to really target what you need and who would probably give you money. And try and figure out who all the players in your town are. Now, one way to do that stealthily um, is to look at the people in town who can really raise money and take a look at their annual fund report. Look at those names, see if you recognize any of them, or if you don't, Google them, or businesses. And those are the people who would probably fund you too, or it's at least worth the try. Another thing that's really changed in that world of asking for money is it is now really okay and it's really encouraged that you call the grant funder and have a conversation with them before you apply for money. That used to be a huge no-no. That would be considered, oh no, you're crossing boundaries, all of that stuff. But in the last 5 years or so, people like Maine Community Foundation, Al Fond, Davis Family Foundation, Stephen King, all of the big ones and a lot of the smaller ones they understand how hard it is. And they would rather have you have a conversation with one of their grant people and say, yeah, Hazel, we would love to do that for Curtis. Or, Hazel, not quite what we do. I'm really sorry, but maybe you could try Maine Community Foundation, such and such a grant. So it's really helpful because at least then you're not going to get a flat out no within like 24 hours of applying. But that is a big change in that world. And don't be afraid to call them. They love to talk to people, and they are very smart people, and they know what's going on in the state of Maine, and they really share resources. So if you need bodies or volunteers, you know who those people are. They're, the Friends of the Library, they're Boy Scouts, they're Rotary, they're Kiwanis, they're Lions, there's all those groups in town. And if you need bodies, those are the people to go to. If you need space, it's always good to keep space is a very interesting thing. A lot of people are looking for space. There is not much public space available in most communities in Maine. And in many communities, they charge large amounts of money for that space, up to $400 an hour. And that is for nonprofits in their community. So that's a real change also since COVID. Community goodwill. There are just some groups that you want their logo and name on anything you do because everybody in the community recognizes it and they have a positive image of that group. And then some people just have one heck of an email list. That is wonderful. I will say I am never afraid to have so many partners on a flyer that we just have to list them by name. The more partners for me, the better. Spread the wealth, and they will probably always do you favors in the end. So next slide. So once you determine what you need, because you're going to barter or you're going to trade for this, you need to determine what you have to offer. So, and be really honest about this. I mean, not everybody has everything, just a fact of life. Curtis Memorial Library probably has everything, but the rest of us in this world do not. And if you were on the tour of the South Portland Public Library, you know we don't have space and we don't have a new building and it's not lovely, but we have one heck of a parking lot. We'll get to that in a minute. So determine what you have to offer. Most libraries have community goodwill. I mean, unless you have been, and I'm very sorry for you, involved in one of those god-awful take things off the shelf fights in your town, you probably have goodwill or people don't have a strong anti-negative feeling about you. Do you have great newsletters and social media? You can help others get the word out too. Do you have a lot of contacts in town? Then we get to, do you have space? That's a big one because every single week we get multiple calls from people asking for space. And I hear crazy stories about, want to just do a class, 3 times. And it's $400 an hour, and we have to pay an hour setup and an hour takedown. And we can't really use the bathrooms because then we'd have to pay for the janitor to come in and, oh yeah, these are all true. You're laughing at me. Um, Also, in dealing with schools, they can be pretty rough about their space. They do not want people in their space. Although in the town that Hazel and I live in, they always advertise, oh, community space when they want a bond to renovate their school. It's a little hard to get in that door, though. So on to the next. I'm not petty. Potential for volunteer participation. There are some groups like Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, Rotary, Kiwanis Lions, who all want their people to have something in the community to do. So that's another thing. I told you about parking lot. It's a big deal, at least in South Portland. A lot of places that you go, we don't have a lot of on-street parking. We have a lovely parking lot that is very handicapped accessible, that has to the building. It has lots of handicap parking places. It's well lit. And we do have the benefit of being in a very, on the corner of two very well-traveled roads, so people can find us. Do we have a following? Like, oh, I always, people say, oh, I always go to the library to find out what's going on, what's happening in town around books, or, oh, they have art classes or whatever. So there's that. Do you have a budget? Can you pay people to come and do things with you? And that's why we need to all get creative, because most of us do not have big budgets. Do you have board members who are well connected and very well known in town? Because you can use them to help you find partners and all of that. So that's another thing. Do you have a good programming history? In South Portland, we do. And I always hesitate to say that because it's embarrassing for me to say that. But we do have a good programming history. We have a lot of cultural events. We have a lot of South Portland centric events. We have a lot of South Portland history events. And I think I have never met a town in Maine that does not do well when they do a history programming on their local area. So that's another thing to keep in mind. The final thing is, and this only applies to municipal departments. We in South Portland are a municipal department. And because of that, I can pull in other municipal departments and use their assets. So I think, Hazel, we're on the wrong slide. Sorry. I'm on the determine what you have to offer slide. Yep, that's the one. Sorry. I just noticed that. So we're a municipal department. So what that means to me in a programming sense is I can call in my SPC TV boys who are community access television, and they can film for me. And anything they film is public use. So anybody can use it. So a couple of examples of that in a recent programming is Wild Seed. Wild Seed comes to us a lot. It does a lot of programming for us, and they are wonderful. And one of the things they like about us is we professionally film their talks, including intersplicing all of their beautiful slides. And when they are done giving a talk within probably 36 hours, they have a television ready link that they can put on their website. And so that goes out. That is not something that they have available. But because we have cable access TV, we do. And so all of those things also get put up on the cable access channel for the state of Maine, and any municipality can grab those and run them. And we have had a number of things that we have done at the library pulled and run on channels throughout the state of Maine in all kinds of different towns. We had one on last year, or the year before, last year, when they did the senior tax credit plan that lasted for a very short time. Our tax assessor was willing to come on and talk about it. And he was very blunt. And that was viewed by over 2,700 people in the state of Maine, which is a really big deal if, you look at your numbers. Um, so, things like that, which are really helpful. So those are the things you have to offer. Then we get to matchmaking 101. Part of that is researching what programs your partners and have worked on in the past. Like, oh, this group always seems to really like children's programming for XYZ. That's one you might want to take a look at. Also, who in your community seems to have the attention, positive, of local media? There are some people who can just get on TV and in the Portland Press Herald, and I do not know how the Kennebunk Free Library gets in the Portland Press Herald and the Maine Sunday Telegram more than the South Portland Public Library, and we have Ray Ruthier as one of our, is in all the time. So that makes me a little mad, but we'll get to the bottom of it. Who has money? That's always helpful. Whose flyers and social media posts do you see everywhere when you're out and about in town? There are people who just know how to do it, and it is not me. Who seems to be in line with your goals and objectives? A local historical society pretty much is really good with a library. People who focus on efforts with children or donations and works really hard with children, that's another good group. And who do people on your board or who work in the library know? That's it. Just really easy. Who do they know? Because it's much easier to approach someone and ask them for something if you can say, oh, Hazel Lunsford at Curtis Memorial Library told me to call you and that you might be able to help. So there you go. So the next one, the ask. This is the hard part. And I hate to say this, but I will say this. If you don't want to do this, don't do this, because it comes through. When you go to someone and you ask, and you're asking them to participate in something or do something with you, you need to be all in, and you really need to believe in whatever you are asking for. If you're kind of wishy-washy and someone else is making you do it, it comes through to the person you're asking, because I have been in that experience many times when people have come and asked for something and it's not really in their heart. So you need to, be there. So based on research, see who's the best fit for your current need. Be prepared to answer any and all questions, even the crazy ones that you can't even think of. Just be prepared. Have a budget. Know exactly what you want from this person. Don't say, oh, would really like some help. Well, what would you like? Well, if you could get us some money, well, how much money and what are you going to use it for? You have to have all of those questions answered. Be really honest what you want. Don't go into it thinking, oh, I'll get them to agree and then I'll change the parameters down the road. We've all been there. Don't need to go into that. If this is a new group for you to try, if this is a new group that you're approaching, try and do the ask in person. When they're looking at you, it's harder to say no. Be open to counter offers they may present. I have had people say, oh, Lisa, we can't do that, but we would really like to be able to do da, 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 which is something totally new to you. So be open to that and don't give a hard no. We just don't ever say, no, we just want this. So that's another one. If they say no, keep the door open. Ask that they keep you in mind for future partnering opportunities. I know people say this and everybody in the audience is going, yeah, Lisa, they're never going to call me back. I will tell you, I have on 5 or 6 separate occasions had people call me back and say, we spoke about this last year and we just weren't in a position. Our money was all committed, but we're opening up and we would really like to deal with you. Are you still working on that project or something similar to that? Or we really want to focus on XYZ. Is the library interested in doing something around XYZ? So you never know what's going to happen in the future. So you never want to kind of cut people off. If they say no, it's not personal. It really isn't, and it's hard to get to that point, but it's not personal. Um, and I always tell people, and there are people who just roll their eyes and groan when I say this because they've heard it so many times. If you don't ask, they can't say yes. So just keep that in mind. And I know that's hard to do. So the other stuff. So, and this is kind of things that everybody knows, but sometimes we forget to do them. Always thank everyone and acknowledge all partners in all your communication that goes out, no matter how small the contribution. So I ask a neighborhood group in South Portland, can you help with? Well, we can't help with it, but we can put it on our neighborhood list, which has 800 members. But we can put an announcement of your event there. Include them. They're a partner. They're driving people to your event. And it always is good to just be a bigger tent than a smaller tent. Unless you have so much money, you don't really need to worry about how big your tent is. This is one that kills me because people always say, I didn't even think of that. Invite the partners to all events connected with the project. I have had a number of people who have given us a lot of money who have said, Lisa, you're the first person who ever invited me to what we funded. I know, hard to believe, but it's true. They probably won't come. They probably don't want to come, but boy, they remember when you invite them. Be a good partner. Keep the communication lines open. Credit them with everything, even if you think that they didn't do very much. Still credit them. Always speak well of them in the community, and always take their phone calls and respond to their emails. Keeping in touch with partners. Don't only reach out when you want or need something. That is something that we all need to work on because it's easy to forget people. I, in my own small, weird way, do a year-end email. And the email is to everyone I have worked with on something for the year for the library. And I present big numbers. And it's all, it's staged as a thanks to you, the library was able to have, 5,800 people come to children's programming. You made, you know, hundreds of families in South Portland happy with your programming, and all of those kids will have that positive. Or talk about certain highlights of the year, even if they didn't participate. But just keep that door open so that they don't see, oh, got an email from Lisa, that means she wants money. I never want people to see it that way. And this is kind of a way with the year-end roundup or something like that, to be able to keep those doors open and not just have your hand out every single time. Know what's going on in your community. Listen to what people are saying at the front desk, in the stacks, and at other events. Pay attention. Listen to what they're saying at Shaw's or Hannaford or at the kids' games. I will tell you, or go on that next door neighbor forum. Boy, oh boy, did I find out some things when I finally joined that. I know that people in South Portland are really mad about a development we have coming up. And I know they are really concerned about pedestrian safety and traffic. So we are having a big forum in December that is going to focus on traffic with the GPCOG traffic engineer that supports South Portland, the planning director, and our director of public works. So it'll be wild and crazy, and I'm going to moderate it, and it'll be a lot of fun. But that's what people want. And you need to just pay attention and see what other things they want, because it's not always things you know about or would even imagine. Look at what other libraries are doing. Everything doesn't need to be yours originally. If it worked in another community, it probably will work in yours. You don't need to create everything from scratch. I think that's one thing we all learn in this group and in Library of Things group. Just don't try and do it yourself. Certain things you can, of course. And if you like to do it yourself, then do it yourself. Librarians love to share, and you also need to be prepared to share. If you're taking things from other people, you need to be responsive to others and let things go. And I always take it as as a compliment to me or to the South Portland Public Library when people want to know what we do and how we did it. I just think that's the highest form of a compliment. So there we go. That's my piece of it. I am happy to take questions from people. Or if you're just so bored right now, you can't stand it. We can all
That's
go and have
that
lunch.
that is not no. We got questions coming. So I've got one
Uh-oh.
in the chat I'm going to do first, and then I'm going to stop sharing the slides here so we can
Okay.
see all these wonderful faces. Um, Hello, hello. And even if you don't, we can't see your face. I'm sure you're wonderful too. We understand some of you are on desk and things like that. So, one question that came through the chat early on
Yep.
was, do you record all of your programs for cable access or do you pick and choose?
We pick and choose. We certainly, I will tell you about one recently. We had Monica Wood, as many of you had Monica Wood. And I did not record Monica because I know that she goes to libraries all across the state of Maine. And I don't think for some authors, it is a form of revenue. So I don't do that for many author talks. I don't think I've done it for any author talks. When it is city employees doing a presentation on an issue in South Portland, I always record it. And other things like we recently did one on the Abyssinian Church. It was great. And that was one where we bartered because they did not have a video that they could show funders or put on their website to learn about the Abyssinian Church. So we did the talk about the Abyssinian Church, which we filmed, and it was followed the following Saturday by a tour of the Abyssinian Church with the historic renovation architect.
Nice.
Was really pretty cool. But
That's
no, we would never be able to, we do a lot of programming and we just would not be able to film everything.
I think I saw some other hands up. Folks, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask Bethany. I saw your hand. You want to unmute and go?
Now I feel like I forgot what I was going to ask. What were we talking about at the very end of the slideshow?
The ask. I think that, yeah,
Oh,
the
oh,
ask.
you were talking about how you send an end of the year letter, which sounds really awesome. Do
Yeah.
you have like a development person at your
No,
library? Do you like okay.
we
I
have
do, and
no,
okay.
we have
It's
none of that.
all right.
We just
Like
have desk staff
okay.
and a director.
I was just gonna ask if you like coordinate that, so I will figure that out on my own.
Oh, now we know the next topic you're going to do, Lisa, is your end of year letter. You can teach everyone.
Well, I
We
think,
get an
I don't mean to interrupt you, Hazel. This is just as an aside. I think it's really important this year. I think people are in a really difficult place, and it probably will not be getting better. And I just think that thank you and in a positive way around a non-judgmental topic, and just reaching out to people to thank them. I think people are going to need that in the coming months. Maybe I'm wrong, but so there you go.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Hazel.
No, no apologies needed to me. There's another question here in the chat, which is a great. So this is great. I'm currently having a challenge with space. I have in mind a program that would really need to be all day and would require a fair amount of space in the Augusta area. I'm intrigued. That's my
Mm.
commentary. This is reminding me I could reach out to nearby libraries with the idea. Yeah, that's useful.
Always partner. I mean, we partner with Thomas Memorial Library. There's nobody on here from Thomas because it's beautiful and gorgeous, and they have lots of space, and they're close by. And our directors are married to one another, but that's just an aside. So we do a lot of children's programming with them because they just have a beautiful space for it, and we don't. And I'll admit it all day.
We all have strengths
We're
and
welcoming.
weaknesses. You know, working together, we can do more. That's why
Yes,
we're all here.
always.
Anyone else? If you couldn't tell, Lisa is super unapproachable and totally wouldn't answer your calls. I.e., no, not at all. She's awesome. She's helped me with so many queries over the years. I'm like, uh-oh, I need to know more. I know who to call, not Ghostbusters.
I
It's
have a
Lisa's.
question.
Yeah, go,
Oh,
Elsa.
um, so how do you find out about grant opportunities?
As I said, look at groups in your town who are good at raising money and look at who donates to them. That's very helpful. Some groups that I think all of your towns have are community banks, and they are a wonderful source because in most of those community banks, managers can cut a check for $1,000 or less for community activities. So those are really good. And Elsa, I know you in Scarborough have really had good luck with community banks. The other thing is look at the program you're doing. We have a huge programming. We have a new program that's going to kick off in January. It's around emergency preparedness and food. And it is, yes, it's a library. I know it doesn't make sense, but it will in the end.
Oh, it so makes sense. I need to
And
know
it's
more.
and it's putting together food packets for people that are shelf stable and don't require electricity, and will be able to, this packet will be able to feed someone meals for 3 days. So if you're told to shelter in place, you will have this pack of food that you can pull out, and that should feed you for 3 to 4 days. I think, or many of us have those visions of the people on the side of the road in North Carolina saying they had no food. And this was decided long before that, but I mean, this is the right time to kind of do those things. And so that program, like, okay, I don't know anybody at Good Shepherd, but I made a phone call and they are all in. They're given money, they're given everything imaginable, they're promoting it. So they were like a logical choice. Another logical choice, Hannaford. Hannaford has more warehouses in South Portland, Maine than anywhere else in the country. And I knew somebody who was on the board at Hannaford, and I kind of called and made another call. But also, so that was a natural. The other thing is, look at the companies in town and go, like we have WEX, we used to have WEX, we have IDEX, we have Fairchild, well, its own semiconductor, sorry. And look at who's in your town and go to their website and see if they have a corporate giving program. And if they don't, call and ask what you could do. But if you're a municipality, be very careful to check with your city manager before you do that to find out what the rules are. Because some cities do not want to actively solicit from businesses in town because it may be viewed as, oh, if I do this, then they'll let my planning or building permit go or something like that. So just that's the aside if you're a municipality. But those are, and then talk to other librarians. Elsa, look at, if you know your program, look at who else did that program and call that person and say, how did you fund it? How did it go? Who did you look at? Who said no? Who was a hard no? Because when it's a hard no. But yeah, things like that. Did that make sense?
Yes, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Good. And call me. You know where I am.
Oh, yeah. Well, luckily, we also have a new money person. We have a
Oh, yeah.
development coordinator. So it's not all up to me, thankfully, because this honestly asking from I don't know. I feel like as a librarian, we're sort of in the business of giving things away. So asking for money feels very
Isn't easy.
uncomfortable to me.
Yeah. And so you have someone.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I had to.
Yeah.
That
But
would be
but I still have it in the back of my head of like, oh, this is part of my role as the person who does communications and stuff of,
Yep.
Being aware of that, of getting to that ask and helping to support that ask.
Right. But it's hard.
Yeah.
I just have no, we don't have that. And we, as I said to all of you who are on the thing, we have a $3,000 budget for programming, and that covers children's, adults, and teens.
Mhm.
And we do over 140 programs a year. So you kind of know we had to get creative in order to do that. So.
And for some of you, that's going to sound really large. And for others of you, that's going to sound really small. And I think many of us have been in both places. I know I can raise my hands as I'm very privileged now, but I didn't start out that way. I started with this much for programming.
Yeah, because I used to be in Portland, and we had an entire department, and we had a development department, and we had a programming department, and all sorts of things. And yeah,
so
South Portland is very different. We have a very small staff, and we have no admin staff at all.
But this is something that I think working together too, we can sometimes help with. If you have a program you'd like to do, please reach out. Let's not make money among all the things be the thing that we don't get it done with, because if we band together, we can figure that part out. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of that lovely program you just mentioned, will that be an online program or an in-person program?
Which one? Sorry.
The yes, because you did mention a lot. The food one.
The food one is it will be. We are doing a number of programs on emergency preparedness, and those are in person.
Okay.
And we are going out into the community to do those, like how to prepare a go bag.
Yeah.
Like what, if you have to evacuate your house, you don't have time. You just grab something and go. And so, all the paperwork that you're supposed to have in order, because gosh, if you can't get back to your house for 3 days, how do you apply for this stuff if you don't have a copy of your license or your marriage certificate or an a CMP bill saying where documenting where you live. So it's things like that. The food program is going to be handing out boxes of food.
Got it.
So we are going to package up food. We're going to put them in a trailer, which can be moved from site to site. And when they say, oh, South Portland, Maine may have there's a hurricane warning for 3 days, we take the trailer to parking lots and we will physically hand out the boxes to individuals so that they will have it. So as you can imagine, we have a big group of people who are physically going to do that and be on hand and made that commitment. And that's how it's going to be done. And we have the trailer is going to be painted, and it's going to be very vibrant and bright. So yeah, it'll be fun. And I'm sure that one you'll hear about a lot.
Oh yeah, we will. For all of you folks, we're gonna start pinging you. That's a good one. Let's replicate it. That's a good one. Let's replicate it. You'll see me sending out homework now, people. Homework. Put it in the spreadsheet. Beep 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 beep. Let's get you at the state. Obviously with that soundtrack too. Beep beep beep. You got wow, that sounds amazing from Elsa on the in the chat, which I concur.
Elsa, I'm sorry, but we are also moving that over a little bit into Scarborough because we're going to do Jocelyn Place, which is we're working through we're partnering with our housing authority, because those are the people who are going to be most vulnerable to something like this.
You certainly don't have to be sorry about it. And if there's any way, I can help with this project, I'm happy to do so.
It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
I'll pull you in and.
But by all means, spread into Scarborough.
I think a couple. Oh, well, I'll just finish this. Then Bethany next. One place, if you haven't checked out the Maine Philanthropy Center too, you can actually just walk in, and they have people who will help you meet your needs and get you connected to funders, which is kind of great.
It is.
So I would definitely say work in Portland for the day, then have coffee with me. Let me know if you're in Portland, or whatever, beverage of your choice, kombucha, whatever. And and check that out at some point. But we can also, I think this is something that the steering team has talked about, this is hopefully the first talking about funding, not the last, right? Because I think all of us are trying to be like, wait a minute, I know I just met with the Natural Conservation Resource Service, who has national funding for pollinator stuff that they realized they could give. Did you get some of their money? for libraries? Of course you did. Okay, anyway. So I was like, well, why don't you fund libraries of things everywhere? So they were like, oh, we never thought of that. So I think we're going to put on something throughout for the whole state through MECollab. Not that the
Oh,
steering committee
fun.
knows this yet, because I just had the meeting yesterday, but um, hopefully it will give us all money, which would be great. The
Oh,
other
I will.
one, yeah.
Oh, sorry. The other thing is that our food giveaway program is funded by the governor's office.
Okay.
On innovation and whatever their thing is. But you know, it would be great if the state library or I think it would be more we, could put together a program on how to deal with state offices and how to find out what's available, because there is so much stuff available. Um, you know, that grant was 3 questions,
Mm-hmm.
heard in 3 weeks, and it was $15,000. That's a lot of money. I mean, but that stuff is out there. And I think it's a area that libraries just don't understand or know or think that they could be part of.
All right, I'm going to follow up with you on that. To be continued. Bethany, you
Okay.
had a question?
Yeah. How do you, if you have ever, how do you say no to a partnership? A good, like I have just a
I
couple
do.
of times that have come to mind where either one was a non-reciprocal partnership, like I was asked to help someone and I said, hey, what do you think about partnering? And they kind of blew me off.
Mhm.
So how do you just straight up say no?
I do say no. And we had one recently that I said no to, and it was after we had gotten into it. So because we're a city department, we don't rent our space. So nobody ever pays to use our space. So our space is used by the library, and the space is used by other city departments and by city boards and committees. So those are the rules. And one of the city committees wanted to have a series of lectures, and we said yes, and we worked with them on that. And then they said, oh, we want to have a couple more meetings after. And it was around this previous development that I alluded to that's very, the people feel strongly about. And and they did not tell me that. They just like alluded to the fact that they were just going to continue these talks that they were having to get the community engaged in open space issues. And I made the mistake for them, I walked by when they were doing something and they were actively talking about doing political lobbying. And I said, and I did, I just walked in and I said, guys, I'm really sorry. This cannot happen on city property. You know, we had agreed that you would act this way and would do this. And I'm just sorry we can't continue to host you on this. And, you know, I got real pushback from somebody. And I said, that's not what we agreed to. And in the end, everybody else got it because everybody else, you know, kind of said, yeah, we were kind of over the edge and we just don't know where to go. And I said, well, you can find other places. And, you know, but I have had to say no. And I have also had to say no to the Leshe League. I don't know if any of you have worked with them or not. They wanted to meet and they wanted to have a meeting every month. And you know, they're a wonderful group and they do very important work, but we just do not have the space outside of our own program. I mean, we take a lot of the time that's available for programming is used by us and our direct partners. So like for outside groups, even if they are charitable, we can't. I say no to them. And then if I know it's if it's political, it's a no. It's a hard no. I don't care what it is. We can't do that. The city is very strong. And I guess the good thing is that I know that I will get backup. If I say no to someone, I know that there's nobody in the city who's going to override me, or my boss is not going to say, oh, Lisa, I think we should have. So it feels pretty okay for me to say no. Did that answer your question, or was I just dancing around too much?
We like it when you dance. Dancing's encouraged.
It's, you know.
Yeah. Awesome.
Come on Sunday at 4:30 to Neela, and you will really see us dance.
That's right. I'm hoping we'll get to see some of you folks in person. A bunch of us are going to be there, and we're so excited to like meet good humans, you know. So please reach out, say hi. We'll do our best to poke people appropriately, in a ethical, appropriate way. So yay. Well, look, we have 10 minutes. This is your last chance for the moment to quiz Lisa, which is always fun. All right.
So,
Well, yeah, go
hey,
ahead.
I have so two things. While we're on the subject of Neela, here's a time to plug that the steering committee folks will be wearing a MECollab, will be wearing MECollab buttons. So that's the way to identify us. So please come and say hi to us. If you see us with our buttons on, come say hi. But the thing that I struggle with, Lisa, thank you for doing this. This has been great and super informative. The thing that I struggle with is that I'm in Cumberland, which is a, super small town that has, you know, one restaurant and one restaurant, a convenience store, and like little else.
Good farms.
Right. Um, so I have trouble sometimes translating, a lot of this into my little small, little tiny world. It's just a comment. It's just something I struggle with. So if you have any experience, or if anybody there has any experience of
You go to town
translating these
meeting,
things,
right?
I do, yes, on occasion.
And you know what people are kind of
Hmm.
up in arms about
Yep.
or
Yep.
interested in, or all of those sorts of things. Um, people don't like to do panels.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I like to do panels.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable doing panels
Yeah.
as long
It's
as it's
less
balanced
the programming thing that is
and the money.
it's the money thing. It's where am I getting the funding from? Except that occasionally we have somebody who might live in Cumberland who owns the bike shop in Portland, or
Mhm.
so those kinds of connections, which I sometimes hear about just sort of accidentally, but
I think the other thing is, and I run up against this all the time, is people make an assumption. Well, we pay taxes, so of course you have all the money that you would
mm,
need.
hmm, hmm,
Um, and we have to say, no, and I was really, for the first time, we offered an art program.
mm,
And the first time was yesterday. And people loved it. I mean, really loved it. It was Zentangle, which is this interesting way of drawing.
hmm,
And everybody said to me, why haven't you done this before? Oh, we want more of this. We want more of this. And I said, because I don't have the budget. I don't have the money. This costs a lot of money to do. And I think you have to be willing to be really honest. And sometimes being honest, it makes you really uncomfortable.
mm,
And it's not said when I say we don't have money for this, it's not said as a put down for anybody. It's just a statement of fact. And I think as librarians, we don't do that very well sometimes.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and people do make assumptions. Oh, well, you're part of the city, of course. We pay big taxes. I mean, especially in Cumberland, they pay big taxes. So you must get a lot of money to do anything.
Mm,
So I think
hmm.
sometimes we need to break down that particular.
Okay. Yeah.
One thing that I've noticed my library director saying more and more often is 1% of your property taxes comes to the library, and using that 1% over and over and over again,
Mhm.
because it's really, yes, you pay a lot in taxes, but we don't really get that much of what you're paying of your tax bill.
Right.
Right.
In Portland, Hazel, correct me if I'm wrong if they don't still do this, but when you get your tax bill, there's the percentage for every single department they fund on that tax bill.
I don't
Like
remember.
57% goes to public works, and 42% goes to fire, and the library is 0.973% or something like that. So that's kind of a good, yeah. It lets
We
people just look at that tax bill you got.
we have a question from Bridgeville, Maine.
Hi, it's Melissa over at Reed Field.
Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
This is more of a comment. Hello, all. Thanks for this. It's just me here and we're small. So Kelly, this is kind of to your question. We have a very small programming budget, and what I guess what I kind of do is I just really come from a point of I'm going to do things that are free. So like that don't cost me any money. So even to our story time, like we have a weekly story time, we have about 20 people, 10 to 12 kids. So it's small, probably smaller than most of what you all do, right? In the summer, it gets a little bit bigger. But every time we have a theme every week, I have volunteers help. And every one of those projects, I probably spend less than $50 in an entire year on craft materials for that, because I just, I'll search tree preschool project, easy. And then I'll look at all the different possibilities. And then I go into my craft closet and I only do something. So I just limit myself and say, no, although this craft looks really cool, I'm not going to do it, because I'm just going to go, I already have a huge craft closet of all this stuff that people have donated through the years. And I'm just going to creatively turn a project that looks neat into something similar to it from what I have. And that's a big saver of money right there. And that allows me to use that money for something else, like to have a good author come, right? So things like that, or like there's so many programming things that I just am like, I'm just paying $0. So, I go to our trails committee and say, how about we collaborate and do a snowshoe walk together, and we both publicize it, and your trails committee person is going to like highlight animal sounds at night or whatever. I don't know, and then the local art gallery. So we have one restaurant, one little store, all of that. But we do have this little art gallery that's open twice a week. I said, we'll start at the library. We'll read a book. We'll go over and we'll do, read about Georgia O'Keeffe, and then walk over and you'll do a lesson, and so free. It was free. She had stuff, we have so Efficiency Maine will do a program, National Resource Council of Maine. They don't ask for any money, so the one that I love is Kennebec. Like if you have a local land trust and if you have property in your town, connect with them. And so we did one in the spring on vernal pools. It was absolutely amazing. We had over 60 people. It was just phenomenal. And we also partnered with Maine Humanities Council, and they gave every participant a book called The Secret Pool. And we're doing it next week with a fall family hike, again, with Kennebec Land Trust and Maine Humanities Council. So I just think we partner with Age Friendly. I mean, there's just a lot of things that I think there's so many people right in the community who will say yes and do a program for free. And so that allows you to have more money for other things. And I just kind of go off of the premise that I'm not going to spend any money on a program. And then if I end up having to spend a little bit, okay. So.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much for that, Melissa. And I think that's the type of thing that we can get better and better at sharing, and then replicating that. I keep meaning to partner and do that program you mentioned of the Maine Big Night. We have a Maine Big Night kit, but we've never actually done the program on it.
That's a great program.
It is.
I highly recommend. Yeah,
it's a great program. Although the email list is really intense around that time of year. I mean, awesome, but also like, oh. So anyway, I do want to call time. Just out of respect, I know Lisa's probably got to go get some more partnerships ready for us and things.
You never know.
Yeah. No, this is all great. And I know all of us, we sit and read all day, right? That's what we all do as librarians, obviously. No.
And you have tons of money because you get property tax money. So
lies, right? Yeah. Awesome. Hey, thank you all so very, very much. I think this, at least for me, I've written down some ideas about maybe actually how we can share funding ideas in the future and maybe go in even on grants together. So for really unique things. So to be continued.
that'd be fun.
Can't wait to talk to you all again. Thank you for everything you do, and let's stay connected.
Bye, guys. Thank you. And if you need me, you know where to get me.
Are you going to call?
thank you, Lisa.